In a small town nestled between two hills, there lived a boy named Ishan. He was 12 years old, with sharp eyes that noticed everything and a soft voice that rarely spoke. Ishan had a mind full of dreams, big dreams. But there was one problem: he didn't believe in himself. Every time he tried to speak up in class, his heart would beat so loud, he felt like everyone could hear it. His voice trembled, his hands shook, and before he could finish even a sentence, he would sit back down in shame. The other kids didn't understand him. Some called him dumb, others laughed behind his back. Teachers, though well-meaning, often ignored him because he was too quiet. "He's just shy," they'd say. But inside Ishan, it wasn't shyness, it was fear. Fear of being wrong. Fear of being laughed at. Fear of not being enough. At home, things weren't any better. His father, a factory worker, worked long hours and didn't understand why his son never spoke up. "Speak like a man," he would yell. His mother would try to defend him, but even she began to worry. "Maybe there's something wrong with him," she once whispered to a neighbor. But Ishan wasn't broken. He was just buried beneath layers of doubt, rejection, and silence. One day changed everything. It was a rainy Thursday afternoon when a new teacher walked into his class. Her name was Miss Ria, and she was unlike any other teacher they'd had. She didn't start class with attendance or books. She stood before them, looked everyone in the eyes, and said, "Today, I want to hear who you are." The class was puzzled. She continued, "Each one of you has a story, a voice, and I'm not interested in how loud it is. I'm interested in how true it is." Then she did something even more unusual. She pointed to Ishan and said, "Would you like to start?" The entire room turned to him. Panic filled his chest, his breath caught. His eyes darted around, looking for escape. But Miss Ria didn't move her gaze. She didn't force him. She just waited, and somehow, in that silence, something shifted. Ishan stood up slowly, like a bird learning to walk. His lips parted, and what came out wasn't loud or perfect, but it was his truth. He spoke about how he loved watching the stars, how he built small machines from scrap metal, how he dreamed of becoming an inventor like Thomas Edison. He even mentioned how he felt invisible at times, like no one really saw him. For the first time, the class didn't laugh, they listened. Miss Ria nodded, eyes full of kindness. "That," she said softly, "and what confidence looks like. Not show, not perfection, just honesty with courage." That night, Ishan couldn't sleep. For years, he had believed he wasn't smart enough, brave enough, or good enough. But now, one teacher, one moment, had cracked that belief. He began to test this new feeling. Bit by bit, he volunteered to answer a question. He tried out for the science fair. Years passed, and the boy who once struggled to speak before a classroom had now blossomed into a young man with clarity in his voice and purpose in his heart. Ishan, now 17, walked the corridors of his high school not with arrogance, but with quiet, earned confidence. He was still the same thoughtful soul who once watched stars alone. But now, others walked beside him. He had become a student leader not because he was the loudest, but because he listened, because he cared, and because he had learned something powerful. True self-confidence is not about proving others wrong. It's about trusting that you are enough even before the world agrees. His final year in school. It was the final term of high school, and Ishan was preparing for a debate competition not as a participant, but as a coach to a group of students who were just like him once, quiet, insecure, and unsure of their worth. There was a Jan who stuttered when nervous, Fatima who refused to speak at all unless forced, Kabir who was mocked for his accent. All of them carried scars invisible to most, but Ishan saw them clearly. Why? Because he had once worn them too, building the team no one believed in. When Ishan announced his idea to train these students for the National Junior Debate Challenge, most people laughed. None of them even talk in class. They'll embarrass the school. Why waste your time, Ishan? But he smiled through the noise. Everyone deserves a chance to be heard, he replied. Especially those who think they don't matter. He began by teaching them what Miss Ria had once taught him, not technique, but truth. He didn't hand them scripts or teach them to argue. He told them stories, made them stand in front of mirrors, asked them to talk about their fears, their dreams, their memories. The room became a safe space, and week by week, confidence bloomed. Ayan's first speech. It was a rainy day, almost like the one from Ashan's past, when Ayan stood in front of the small team and said,